Well, I decided that this channel's growing. It's growing faster than it was, but it's growing slow. Um, Mostly because people don't know what I'm doing, so I'll try to explain a little better. Um, I've always been somebody that could fix things. Always. Ever since I was a little kid. It drove my dad crazy. He couldn't leave an alarm clock around because I'd tear it up and try to make a sawmill out of it. My dad owned a sawmill, so and he showed me once how you could use the gear to cut a match, and that was all it took. And I had every alarm clock in the place torn up. A little funny story from my dad. I learned to be a mechanic. I'll copy this into Tom's Tricks as a separate piece, but I'll leave it in this video. So you guys just please like and subscribe. This is a funny story. So anyway, my dad had sawmills, and there was a pile load of trucks and cats and bulldozers and loaders and cranes and heister parts and a couple old junk cars and light plants and diesels and gas. There was a whole giant pile of stuff out there. Well, he used it all in making this sawmill. So I kept begging him for a job. All the men had a job. I didn't have a job. I was about 5 years old, I guess, 4 years old. I wanted a job, and he was the boss, so give me a job. So he laughed. So he gave me a screwdriver. And it was a flat-bladed one. About this long. Pretty big for me. As far as I was concerned, that's all I needed was one tool. So he says, I'll give you 5 cents for every screw you can bring back. I thought, shit, man, there's got to be a million of them. I went out there in the morning when he went to work, and I started trying to find try to get a screw out. Man, I'm telling you, that was a bitch. I didn't know how to use a screwdriver, didn't even know what it was for. He didn't show me how it goes in or nothing, just says, here, we'll figure it out. So, but I knew it was a screw, so anyway, I tried everything. I put it in sideways, and I finally get it in, and they were all tight. Everything was out there in the rain. Shit was all rusted, and me, a little old kid, I didn't even know enough to put pressure on it. So anyway, I was out there all morning. Daddy come home for lunch. I went home for lunch, just dragging. They said, what's the matter? And I said, I couldn't get any out. He says, well, that's as easy as it looked, is it? And he says, well, deal's a deal. And I said, well, I think I'll just play this afternoon. And he says, no, you got a job, you go to work. So, all right, I dragged my ass out there with my screwdriver. And I just kind of pecked at it, and then I thought, no, God damn it, there's got to be a way to get one of them screws out. The big guys do it, why can't I do it? I'll figure this out. So anyway, I went out there, and I got a screw out. Oh man, you put that thing in a screw where it would hold, and you could turn it. You had to turn it to the left. Figured that one out too, and the screw would come out, so I had the screw out, and then I finally looked around, got another one. So I come back at the end of the day, and I had 2 screws, man. My allowance was like 10 cents a week or something. I don't even know if I was getting one, but I wanted a job, so anyway, the old man gave me a dime. God damn, a dime, man. I was rich dog, I didn't know what a dime was, but it sure looked good, shiny. So I thought, okay, all right. We'll go back to work tomorrow and see what happens. So we go to work in the morning, and I got my screwdriver, I'm ready to go. Daddy says, you got a can or something? A can for what? For the screws. Can. One, man, I only got 2, and he's talking about a whole can full. I said, okay, I'll get a can. Sure enough, man, I went out there and now I knew how to use a screwdriver. And I'd just, hammer on shit, and pound on the screwdriver with a rock and do everything. And I got a whole bunch of screws out. Man, I must have had 35, 40 screws, different sizes, They said, okay, fine. And gave me whatever the money was, it was just a quarter or something, it was a big one this time. So I was ready to go to work. Next morning, I was up bright and early, Yep, I was going to go out there and make me another quarter. And Dad took my screwdriver away from me and he gave me a Phillips. He says, okay, now, same deal, Give you a nickel for every screw. Now when I was at Phillips, man, that thing didn't work. I'm telling you, it would really got nothing, I finally figured it out that there was cross screws, some of that stuff. Keep in mind now, we had a whole junkyard full of this stuff, It must have been 20, 30, 40 vehicles and parts and shit out there. I had plenty of room to find a screw. So anyway, I figured it out, and I come back and I had 3 or 4. And at the end of the day, I had, some in the bucket, And I said, okay, fine. He says, tomorrow we'll try a wrench. Man, I just barely learned the screwdriver. So he gave me a wrench, half-inch wrench. Told me to give me a nickel or for every bolt or every nut I could bring back. So the next day he gave me 9/16 and 5/8, and now 5/8 was way too heavy for me. I couldn't turn them, but I should took all them little bolts off. So that's how I learned to be a mechanic, is my dad gave me the tool and an opportunity and just learned to use it. And one of the things out there, we were 200 miles away from civilization, and if you needed something and you didn't have it, well, you either quit or you made it. Quitting was never an option, not with my dad, for sure. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm looking at this thing and seeing, okay, get it as straight as you can. If you're doing a project, you get it as straight as you can in the major parts, the parts that you're going to be measuring from. And then the foo-foo and the plastic and stuff, you can move it around and adjust it and make it look good. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm not trying to make this perfect, make it fit. In fact, while I was doing this, I was thinking about using some aluminum bars to make my own grill here and make it one for this car. But I think I can get this good enough. Paint it all black and flat black, and it'll look real straight. Nobody will ever notice that screws 3/8 of an inch too far forward, and it will really make the bottom look straight. So that's part of Tom's tips and tricks, is that, if you don't know how to do this, if you're working on your project and you never take brakes off, or you never bled a system, or you never try to fix a dent or anything, you never try to start a mower. I keep forgetting, I've done this for so long, I think everybody knows how to start a motor. But they don't, and they're still going, oh wow, fuel there, and spark, compression, and it will run. So I'm trying to just pass these tips along of things that I probably forgot about. But in me, what it is part of me, and what is part of this channel, is I fix things. Keith Fenner, he's a great machinist. He's got this motto, get her done, I wish I had a get her done shirt. But I've got the intention, and I'm able to control my own attention and my own thinking, and control my body and all the tools. Well, that takes a while to learn right there, So a lot of this stuff that are shortcuts, or maybe you didn't even think about it cuts, or somebody told you it was impossible sort of deal. You don't care what somebody thinks, If you listen to everybody else, you wouldn't do anything. can't listen to everybody else. You just have to listen to yourself. And take advice if it's advice. They say, well, you know, you probably ought to wear safety glasses or something. Well, that's good advice. You know, it's really good advice. And wait till you get a rock or something in your eye, and then you'll see how good advice it is. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. I'm just making this channel all about fixing stuff. Now, I fix all kinds of stuff. Plumbing, electrical, any kind of construction. But my love is these old classic cars. So anyway, like and subscribe if you will. And we'll continue to chew on this old AMX and bring you a little more content.